And tonight we're going to show you why police reform is so hard to accomplish. What just happened this week at the state capitol is a clear example.
So lawmakers were set to vote on House Bill 2765. It would have made police turn over deadly shooting investigations to another agency. But some police leaders, including Sheriff Paul Penzone, lobbied to kill that bill.
After we asked to speak with the sheriff about his opposition, he called a press conference. Yesterday, ABC 15 investigator Dave Biscobing was there, and it's something the public should see to understand what's happening behind the scenes.
Now, the press conference you're about to see got tense at times, because sometimes as reporters, we press our leaders to get the truth. It's to get the real reasons behind why they do what they do. Written statements can't answer questions. They're often written so carefully, they don't say anything at all. And because of direct questions, you're about to see some raw truth actually come out.
Good afternoon.
In a half-hour press conference, Sheriff Paul Penzone made it very clear he opposes House Bill 2765 for several reasons. But it comes down to this.
I think it's incumbent upon law enforcement to fix this problem, because if a community wants to have trust in us, we should be the ones that lead it. Because if legislation dictates it to us, it appears as though we don't embrace it and we haven't initiated these changes ourselves.
But they haven't initiated those changes. That's why Democratic lawmakers introduced the bill and have for years. It's just 130 some words. Police have to turn over their deadly encounters to another agency for investigation. And the bill gives police leaders 1 year and full power to set up the system themselves. So if that's not good enough, what are police leaders going to do about it themselves, and when? After a 15-minute presentation, that was the very first question we asked the sheriff. How much more time do you need?
Well, I can't tell you the time frame. Why haven't I done it? Well, there's a lot of things that we have accomplished, and there's some things that we haven't.
So let's talk about this bill.
Okay, you're interrupting me when I respond to you, so
you're
let me
already
respond.
shifting, so answer what's taking so long? That's what the public wants to know. Third-party investigations is some wild idea, so why haven't you done it? And how long is it going to take you to get this together? Because your meeting next week is after the crossover week. So you killed the bill by doing that. So when are you going to get it done?
Same question you asked the first time as I started to answer it. I have addressed a lot of issues. I don't have any one singular issue. We have been having this conversation trying to move the meter as quickly as we can, but it doesn't happen overnight. I have to get buy-in from a lot of people to accomplish it. So why haven't I done it? I don't have a good answer for you.
Penzone says police leaders weren't consulted about the bill or brought to the table in time. But lawmakers pushed back hard and released documents to show it was Penzone and other police leaders who ignored the bill until it gained traction. October 2nd, a law enforcement stakeholder meeting and MCAO had top officials attend. January 11th, lawmakers published their police reform agenda. February 2nd, Minority Leader Reginald Boulding and AG Mark Brnovich published a press release announcing the bill. February 17th, the bill is heard and unanimously approved by the Bipartisan Criminal Justice Reform Committee. February 26th, another stakeholder meeting with lawmakers, and Sheriff Paul Penzone was personally on the call, the first time he expressed concerns.
There's no place for politics in policing. So I don't care who writes it, what side of the line they're on. If they're thoughtful and we can work with it, then I'll support it. And if not, I'll speak to why.
Now, sheriffs are elected, so Penzone is a politician. And after the bill passed committee, Penzone contacted Republican House Speaker Rusty Bowers, who has the power to kill the bill by blocking a vote by the full House.
Have you personally spoken to the Speaker about this too?
As I stated earlier, I've had meetings with the Speaker.
How about last night?
As have yesterday.
Yes.
Yeah.
Offsite?
You say offsite, not in my office?
Not at the Capitol, but
at his
Rock
invitation.
Industries?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is that an issue of concern?
Well, it's just you're having these meetings, right? And you're personally getting involved, and you say you don't want to interfere with the democratic process, but that's exactly what's happening.
No, as a subject matter expert, I have a responsibility to share my concerns who's responsible for an office, because I'm responsible for the outcomes. The people who wrote this legislation aren't responsible for the outcomes.
As we press the sheriff further on how deeply he got involved to oppose HB 2765, a staff member interrupted.
So this is informing.
I mean, it's not the Dave Show.
No, I mean, this is fine, because you know what, I don't...
No, he works here.
Well, this is a press conference. I'm pressing.
Sure, and you're taking up the whole time.
You can't see it, but there were just 4 reporters at the press conference, 2 for TV, 2 for newspapers. And the staff member you heard interject is Sheriff Penzone's lobbyist, Tommy McCone. After the press conference, McCone got into a tweet fight back and forth with 2 Democratic lawmakers. And eventually McCone said the quiet part out loud. Representative Diego Rodriguez wrote, "You refused to accept a bipartisan group voted to support a modest police reform bill." McCone responded, "You are correct. The Arizona law enforcement community does refuse to accept that a group of legislators with no law enforcement background voted to pass a bill." Now, that's not even true.
I'm going to be an aye today.
One of the Republicans who voted yes is Representative Brett Roberts, who worked for the sheriff's office as a detention officer and then later as a constable.
My last question is, how long is it going to take for you guys to figure this out? Is it a year, 5 years, a decade until we forget? I mean, what's the...
Yeah, I don't know what to say with your tone, Dave, because you try to be so confrontational for some reason. It makes it better journalism, and it doesn't. The truth of the matter is this: I don't have a time frame. As I said before, this has been 200 years. I had told them that my hope is that within 90 days, we will have at least a template of what a working group could look like.
90 days for a template. And that's why we asked these questions. We got new information about a possible plan. Penzone then said he and other police leaders plan to meet soon to discuss developing a task force.
So you want something more than that? You're not going to get it from me.
The sheriff closed the press conference with this.
But I am not going to stand here and let you insinuate or act as though I'm trying to stop democracy because I just want to stunt the opportunity to make it better or to give this community law enforcement leadership that they can count on and trust. So that's how I'll close this meeting. And normally I don't even like to go there because I shouldn't have to. It doesn't matter either way. But for me, there are times you push my button, it becomes personal. Today's one of those days, so well done.
Now, we should point out Sheriff Penzone won re-election promising to reform what Sheriff Joe Arpaio left behind. That's an office under heavy federal oversight because of systemic racial profiling and unconstitutional policing. He's already under a lot of scrutiny, and this bill would have added to it. But that's not the case for dozens of other law enforcement agencies in the state. I'm investigator Dave Biskovic, ABC 15, Arizona.